I'm smart enough not to do live demos, so I filmed my demos, and we can talk about and try to get it to work later. So,
usually you try to do the demo and then the video's a backup.
I use that one too.
yeah, that's, oh, sorry. This was a picture of 2000 National Championship. And the reason I put this picture is Mark Leon passed away in early April. Young fella's sudden heart attack. And he was the one, it's his fault that I'm in robotics. So.
Who was that again?
Mark Leon was the NASA civil servant who I started working for in '95. In '95, what I did, I was a webmaster and worked on streaming video. No one knew how to do streaming video in '95, especially over, copper. So we were doing 120 by 80 screen. Anyway, in '99, he comes to me and says, "How would you like to mentor a high school robotics team?" I said, "Well, that sounds like fun." He didn't tell me it was at a continuation high school where the kids had been in street gangs. But it all worked out in the end, and the next year we won the national championship. So,
Is that him in the lower right, lower left?
that's,
Which person is it?
Kneeling?
let's see, so Mark is here.
Is that him? Okay.
That's me all the way up there.
That's you on the far right.
This is a friend of mine, Joe Herring, who passed away. These are two of the teachers, Vito and Jeff Jacobs. Vito is now a principal, I think, at James Lick. He was an English teacher then. I don't know what happened to all the students. I know that Glenn is an accountant or a fiduciary, successful in business. Some of these people, of course, have passed on. It's 20 years ago, 18 years ago. Anyway. People hear this?
Not yet.
Is the microphone?
It doesn't look like it.
No, it is on. There's just nothing to hear.
Rotate right 90 degrees.
What's the volume of your laptop?
Like this.
Rotate left 90 degrees.
That's pretty cool. Nice.
Forward 30 centimeters.
So it doesn't understand that.
Forward 1/2 meter.
Didn't understand the half meter. It does understand 10 centimeters.
Forward 10 centimeters.
That's demo one.
What's the app you're using?
That's called Robot Commander. It's downloadable on the App Store. It's for Ubiquity Robotics, but obviously it can work with any robot as long as you're doing command velocity topics. Everybody here knows ROS, right? Everyone here's an expert, right? So what I'm doing here is sort of a hybrid. One of the things I do with Gloria, I co-chair the SV ROS meetup group, which meets the week before this meeting and is partnered with the Homebrew Robotics Club SIG, and now it's sort of like we sort of took it over. That's one of the, you see I wear a FIRST Robotics hat, I wear a Ubiquity Robotics hat, I wear a Homebrew hat, I wear an SV ROS hat, and I'm sort of getting smaller and smaller because of all these hats. Anyway, so SV Ross and Homebrew are like symbiotic twins.
You might say Ross is our special interest.
Ross is our special interest. And along with Greg Maxwell, who's moved over, we came in second for the NASA Sample Return Challenge. And a lot of that stuff we did was developed after working with the NITO. And I guess Ralph Knock and Mike Ferguson worked on that code, and we've been slowly tweaking it. And so Camp always shows off his robots, and he's the expert on using it for mapping. What I've been doing is adding some of the Ubiquity stuff to the SV Ross stuff. So this guy now has a camera on him, and what I'm working on is integrating our Move Basic package, which uses the data to find obstacles and do site planning. Except right now I'm doing a lot of stuff trying to integrate those things, and we're just slowly going. So I don't know if you see, this is this fiducial that it sees, and because I don't have transforms on, the robot's having a very hard time locating itself. So the fiducial relative to the robot.
Where the dog is.
Cat.
Oh, it's a cat.
So it's having a little bit of a hard time here going back and forth. And you see that I'm using a GoPro and trying to talk at the same time. So after Ryan's dead, we actually try to fire this up and look at RViz. But what it needs now is a little more work. But mechanically, everything is working now. It's just a little bit of software to get everything working.
Yeah.
Hey, at camp, this robot does not have a name, right? It doesn't get happy, it doesn't get sad, it just runs programs. Okay, thank you.
Also just want to mention that I just got my NITO robot up and running. I've been trying to get it up and running for about a year. Finally, I'm learning a bunch of parts to it. I'm part of SV Ross with Alan, and I finally showed up with my whole setup last Wednesday, and I finally asked Alan, please help me get this going, and he helped me by the end of that session. So I can actually walk people through the steps to get to that point where you're using SV Ross on a Ross on a Raspberry Pi hacking a NITO bot back. So if anybody wants to do that, you can just start showing up once a month at SV Ross.
If you have a Ross robot, we probably can help you get it working better. Especially if you're using a Raspberry Pi. But right now our challenge is we just start to get the Raspberry Pi B3, B+, and of course, things don't work anymore. That work fine on the 3B normal, which is normal because, I don't know, USB ports went from 2 to 3. They probably changed where the ports are. Just little irritating things that take around a month or two to figure out.
I don't know if it was mentioned, but Ross's robot operating system. So for those of you who are new, it's a set of functions and data structures that allow you to get started doing some very sophisticated things with robots, such as autonomous driving, mapping, that kind of thing.
And it's not an operating system, it's an application framework.
Okay.